Hey you guys, welcome back to my garden. Today we're going to be working on two containers up on our front patio. We're going to be taking out some kind of summer-ish colored annuals, very basic, two containers with two annuals in each of them. We're going to take those out because I'm getting kind of over the bright pink. I'm feeling like the fall vibes, wanting to kind of simplify things down from the bright colors, and I'm going to be planting these up with some evergreen interest. Starting down here because I wanted to show you guys, these are kind of my inspiration. I got these pots from S&K Nursery last year and everything in these is evergreen. I did lose, I think maybe a little fern in this one, but for the most part, this has just continued to grow and be absolutely beautiful. And like I said, it's evergreen. It has some hebe in there. It has heuchera. It has some, I believe this is a ligustrum right there. There's an abelia in there. There's some trailing elements like vinca and some other things. This is, I think, right where I lost maybe a fern in that spot. Back here on the back, you can see it's even beautiful and interesting. There's a black mondo grass, another trailing element right here. And I've just enjoyed these so much. They're just a little garden just packed into a small-ish container. So last year I had this one and then kind of this matching-ish one. They're not exactly the same. You can see back here on this one it has a carex back here in the back, so that's a little bit different. I don't think this one has a black mondo grass in it, but they're very similar to each other. So I did have these up on my front porch last year, and then I changed them out. I put up there instead those containers. So like I said, these are my inspiration because I just have really enjoyed this, I don't know, kind of creative, unique look of containers for my front porch, because all winter long, it'll just be something really pretty and interesting to come out and look at here on our front porch, where we continue to spend a lot of time even into the winter months because it's covered. We can still come out here and enjoy being outside and not get all wet. So anyway, I just thought it would be fun to kind of create my own evergreen, interesting with textures and different variations of green in these containers up here. So let me just show you the containers that we're going to be working on, and then I'll show you the plants that we picked up. You guys were with me on the video where we went shopping for all these plants, but I'll kind of just go through a little overview. We'll clean out the containers that we're going to be planting into, and then just start placing and seeing what we can actually fit into the containers. All right, so here are the containers that we're going to be working on. This is just basically a rectangular shaped container. You can see comes up here into just a rectangular opening on the top. We have two calibrachoas in here. They're a double bloom, and they've been really lovely. I've really enjoyed them. I definitely will look for this same variety again next year. But this pink, you know, this is just kind of, I don't know, it's not fall. It's not fall to me, and they're looking a little bit tired. So I'm going to take those out. We did just put in the lemon cypress. That is going to stay, although I'm sure it's not rooted in. I think I'm still going to pull it out of the container for now as we place in the plants, just to kind of make sure everything is level and make it a little bit easier, I think, to plant everything in. So then over here on this side, same thing, same elements on the front. But what I'm excited about doing is being able to actually plant up all around the back. And I did get pretty small plants. Most of them are 4-inch, but I think that they could even, lose some of their soil and be able to just be tucked in on the back. And that's definitely something I'm interested in because this is, like I said, our front porch, and I can see the back side of these containers and I want them to be pretty. So as you can see down here, this beautiful collection. It's kind of awkward since I'm on our front steps, but this beautiful collection of all of these different plants. This looks like a lot of plants. I don't think I'm going to be able to fit, I definitely don't think I'm going to be able to fit all of these in here, but as I pointed out on the ones down at the bottom of the steps, I have some holes in those, and I can tuck these into there, and we'll just kind of see, we'll see what we can fit. So here we have some heuchera. There's 4 of those. We have some variegated sage that has some of that purpley color in it also. A couple variegated carex. We actually have some juniper down here, which I think will be really fun to see if we can fit in. I think there's abelia, there's some wire vine, there's some ligustrum. We have some hebe, tall rosemary. There's a couple lavender starts. And then I have some lamium. I maneuver myself down here without falling on the steps. But there's some of this beautiful lamium, which takes a lot more shade than pretty much anything else in this collection. So those will be one of the elements on the back. I did get some ferns to put in the back, but they are Boston ferns, and so they wouldn't be evergreens. I think I'm going to stick those someplace else and just basically work with what I have right here. And yeah, just go with these elements. So like I said, I think the first step is just going to be taking everything out of the containers. So then after we get everything cleaned out, and I don't think I'm going to use all new soil, but I'll take the soil down just so that we can just kind of place the plants in as we decide the combinations, what goes next to each other, what looks good together, what complements each other, what's not, too similar, and all those things. So I'm just going to set up the camera. I'm going to get these containers cleaned out, and then we'll move some of the plants up and we will get them placed. Easy. So I'm just going to bring up, now that I have this one cleaned out and I have the lemon cypress in here, I'm going to bring up the plants that I know that I want in here and see how well those fit, and then we'll add in some of the other elements that I'm kind of either way about. So let me just grab those really quick. Okay, that's a lot of plants, as I am well aware, but I think that these will all fit in there, and then we'll go from there to see what else can make its way in. So let's just start by kind of just setting them in. So I know I really want the heuchera to be at 2 of the corners. And then I think, because this actually likes a little bit more shade, I think I'll place this one back here. And I know the lamium will also want more shade, so that one will also go in the back here. And this is just kind of giving me just a general layout, because the root balls of all of these can really be squished quite a bit. So one thing I also know is that the juniper has actually a larger root ball, and it's going to go up here in the front corner. So I'm just going to kind of place that there. And then I think the hebe will look nice like right here in between the heuchera and the juniper. I think that will look really pretty. And then I think the wire vine will go right about in here. I think we need something separating the juniper from the wire vine. So maybe we'll stick that in there. Maybe that'll come back here. And we could do this here. That's kind of tall. Maybe we should just go ahead and plant it. I think that'll be easier, just to get things planted in, squished in there, and then we'll go from there. So I do want this a little bit lower, like this. The root ball is definitely not at the very top, because I want to be able to water this really well. And so if I have this up too high, then the water tends to just spill out. So I think that that's good where it's at. I think actually this will look really pretty over here on the side, I can just really smash this down. Packing them in for sure. Better get the juniper in there because I know that's actually pretty limited on space, but it's not a huge root system. So I think I'm just gonna tease out the roots a little bit, take off some of the soil so that I can just really try to make a huge mess. And I'm putting the juniper on this side because this will be the side that goes towards the railing, not towards the area where people are walking. So the juniper won't be reaching out and grabbing grabbing people. And that just curves over that edge so perfectly, and it fit just right in there really nicely. So that is perfect. Now let's just come back here and do these other elements that I know that I want them in these spots. Okay, so that's basically the back as of right now. And then over here on this side next to the juniper and the heuchera, I put the little hebe in. You can see that looks close, but there's actually totally room in there for another plant right here. So this is going to be on the side of the railing, so I could potentially put a little bit of a taller plant right here. Let's see. So now this is the front. I think that lavender would look pretty right there, and then I think the wire vine next to it. This is such a small root ball that it's not quite actually reaching the soil down there. And still being like high enough, if that makes sense. So that, and I think the wire vine coming out the front would look really pretty. This is why it's really good to make sure we water our plants before we plant them in, because this is so much more easier to maneuver and manipulate the root ball when it's nice and moist than if it was totally dry. Obviously it shocks the plant less too when it's wet going into the container. This container has a little bit of a pop out right here. There's actually hollow behind it, so I'm making sure that I'm filling that area with soil so that there's not any like dry pockets. Just a little bit difficult to do, but then I can just kind of nestle the plant down into that planting area. Oh my gosh, I love that. I love flowers, I do, but I am definitely a fan of foliage. I mean, this is all foliage here. This is, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so that's all the plants that I brought up initially. Let's see, we have space right here for something, for sure. This was pretty full. There's space right here too, but visually, I really like it. So maybe let's see if there's one more tall element for right here. Let's see. Okay, so we basically just have this ligustrum and then this abelia left. I did get some tall rosemary, but I'm not really sure that I don't think I would love that. So this abelia could spill out and fit right here. Let's just see what we think of that. Small, fragile root ball that this whole thing is growing off of, which is quite amazing to me. But I think if I just, oh, that is pretty. Just really shove it in there. I feel like I'm being very rough with this planting, but that does look pretty. That does have a white flower on it, which is lovely. And where was the other spot? I think it was right here. So let's see what we think. Always plug it in and always take it back out. So let's just see. I'm not even sure. I could prune this too if it looks too crazy. Is that even gonna fit? This root ball is a little bit more full, so it's not, you know, as easy to manipulate down in the container. It kind of blocks that a little bit, but I could prune it. Believe it or not, that is all of the plants that I got for these containers except for the tall rosemary. And look at that. That is, oh, I'm so excited about it. That is so pretty. There's so many textures and even so many colors, even though it's like, you know, it's primarily green, but oh, I love it. I think that's lovely. So I think I'm going to start with that. So this is actually the front. This is the front. This helps, I think. I think I do like the texture there. And then just things, so that's kind of the idea with this, is everything's just kind of peeking out of the container. Oh, so pretty. Okay, so then we just need to mimic it, mirror it in the other container. So let's do that. is all done too. And I think it just, like the other one, I'm just so tickled with how these came together. I think they're so sweet. They're really a lot like, I don't know, like a flower arrangement to me with just primarily foliage, because you can kind of manipulate where things go, how things cross over each other, you know, and interact with each other. I was just kind of doing that, fiddling with this carex on the back, just so that it mingled well with the plants that are next to it, you know, and it was kind of coming through the branches of the plant that's next to it too, trying to kind of encourage things to spill out in a certain way. And yeah, it just makes for a really dynamic, really interesting planting. And I wanted to show you too, you know, from the back side, obviously this is an area that we see a lot. If we sit over here in our chairs, we're not seeing the front. So it's really nice to have a view from over here of a really beautiful container all the way around to the back side. So I'm going to get this one placed where it goes, and then yeah, we'll look at the finished product. All right, it's kind of the best I can do on our stairs to show you the containers now as they sit there and flank this opening. It's a little easier obviously to see as you come up on the containers. So these hooker that I use, this is grape soda. This is just kind of a generic wire vine. This is phenomenal lavender. I'm not sure the variety of this juniper, but it looks like it's just a low growing spreading variety. Same thing, not too sure about the variety of this ligustrum here. And then we have the gold cypress, which is just a small one. It could potentially get quite large, but not obviously in a container. This is Evergold carex, and then we have a golden lamium. Not sure of the variety here of this abelia or of the hebe. This is a tricolored sage poked right in there, and then yeah, I think that's all of the plants. Both of them are exactly the same on either side, just mirroring each other. We'll see if people bonk into this. I might have to trim that piece off of there, but this gives you a really good sense right here from this direction of what we see from up here on the front porch. And then I was actually wrong. I did have 2 plants left over, 4 total obviously, but 2 for each container. I had this one, which was just kind of buried in there. I forgot that I had that one, and then I also had this tall rosemary. And so I have ideas of where I can put these both, and I'm thinking for these guys that in these containers right here, right in the corner, I lost plants. So I was kind of thinking of just digging out the root balls and planting that one in right there. And then over here on this one, you can see he hardly is even necessary, but right here I lost a plant also, and so I could dig that out and pop it in right there. So I think I'll just go ahead and do that. These will complement obviously really well what's already in the container. For one thing, this one already has one in it, so I think I'll just go ahead and get that done right now. All right, there we have it with those ones. That just looks perfect, filling in that spot just like it was always there, always meant to be there in that little corner of the container. And then over here, this one just kind of peeking out underneath on that. I didn't even know that there was anything missing there, but now that those are there, they really add to the container and still just absolutely loving these containers. Then again, from down here, here's the view up of those. And I really do like how the purples and the colors in there really kind of mimic what's going on in the rest of my garden. They obviously coordinate with the containers that are the hanging baskets that are up there. But then when you come down here, there's colors that are repeated, you know, the maroons that are in the barberries and in the heucheras that are down there, and then the purples, you know, that are still kind of peeking through in the alliums, and the whites, obviously, just the variegations of green. I just think these containers right up here are like just my gardens compacted down into little containers. If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm really happy with how they came together. I think that was a really fun project. I do have an idea, like I said, of where these tall rosemary are going to go, but that's a project for another day, something else fun for me to get to look forward to, and hopefully for you guys to enjoy watching as I tackle that next project. So thank you for hanging out with me while I put together these containers. I hope it was inspiring to you to maybe make a different container than what you might typically think of. Grab some little containers just that have variegation in colors of green and textures and that are evergreen. These are all evergreen for me. So you know, just have fun with it. It is a neat, kind of a freeing, exhilarating little container to put together. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed seeing it come together. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh, and P.S. I tucked in the little container, this little black container that was up there on the front porch, just underneath the two other containers that has the double calibrachoas. I just tucked it in right here in this garden. I think it looks really sweet there.